Hi, Ella.
Hi, Joya. Welcome. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good. It's been a kind of calm week, up and down emotionally, lots of things coming up and then disappearing. I don't know. Funny time of the year for me,
Yeah.
February. How about you?
Um, so
Do
I've
you want me to elaborate? Or you should.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll tell you my week because last week I talked about letting go. And so this week I've really been focusing on letting go and staying open. And so I'm noticing where I'm holding on or grasping. Um,
Mm,
I'm finding tension in my body. So doing yoga, breathing into it to release that tension and finding openness in my body. Um, Feeling tension in my heart, so using my breath to release there and noticing where I'm being closed-minded and just trying to open my thoughts through awareness and mindfulness. So just really trying to stay open so that I can receive opportunities and miracles and really attract them into my life. And yeah, you expand now.
yeah, but also staying open because it feels good to be open.
It
Just
does.
because in that moment, you also feel good and better in the being open.
100% because tension does not feel good. Being closed off does not feel good. Being
Yeah.
open does.
And sometimes I think that the striving for the thing and the
Mhm.
reason we do what we do isn't necessarily in the having of the thing, but because it actually serves us in the moment as well.
Yeah, explain that.
So rather than thinking if I do this, I'll get that. So if I open my heart, I will receive something.
You're right.
It's
It's not for
about
that. It's because
I'm
being
opening.
open feels good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, February is all about the heart. It's
Mm-hmm.
been, it is heart, like a month for me. That's an in between month. January is coming down from Christmas and it's still winter. So I feel very happy and satisfied, sort of staying in and hibernating.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, March is all full bloom, things opening up and life renewing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
my birthday. And February is that in between month, and it's Pisces season. It was the last time I saw my mum. It's the anniversary of her death. It's her birthday month.
Mm.
So there's a lot around February that is, in a way, I suppose, heavy. It's my heaviest month of looking inwards. And I
Mm-hmm.
happened to pick a card, sorry,
Okay.
before the practice and, well, before
Uh-huh.
this chat.
Yeah.
I got the Hermit. And that's exactly how I feel, really, like really wanting to go within. And I haven't been looking for or to listen to conversations. I do lots of podcast listening.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been called not to listen so much. And if anyone else is resonating, they do not need to continue listening to this because I totally understand.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to just listen to our own voices
Mm-hmm.
and to go and spend time within in silence
Right.
and being less of a consumer, but no, and we did talk about this last week about me maybe becoming more of a creator. And I thought that that was happening last week. And then this week, it felt like I wasn't necessarily resonating with creating either. And
Okay.
so I've been in a bit of that in between space, place of just being, sitting, not
Okay.
necessarily, yeah, doing much.
Yeah. So I did come across a blog post or a quote actually that said the opposite of depression, I'm not calling your lull depression, but is expression, not joy. So I don't completely resonate because I do think expression brings you joy. So when you're in that lull, sometimes expression, I know you weren't feeling creative, but just any sort of expression can fill that void, I guess, with joy.
Yeah. And that definitely makes sense. And I do think that I've reached more for, especially in the classroom, doing the creative projects. So being more hands-on,
Mhm.
doing the painting, like getting back into being childlike,
Okay.
you know, because sometimes the idea of being spiritual or doing the work is tiring too. And you kind of also want to release all of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
letting go of even there being a practice has
Mm.
also been resonating with me this week. And in that, becoming more childlike through my creativity and the projects with the kids and things like
Hmm.
that has felt comforting. So it's felt like that's been something I can call on that feels easy and relaxing and yet rewarding for me too.
That
Not for
feels like expression.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not for a purpose of anything else other than to
Enjoy it.
enjoy it
Yeah.
and take the mind out of anything that is adulting or like future
Yeah.
mode or trying to the reaching for the striving for,
Mm-hmm.
just getting back into that sense of fun and creation and
Very nice. So because I've been trying to just clear all the blockages and stay open, um, then I was just gonna enhance my magnetism to call in and attract what's in alignment for me. And I had this idea, like in the cartoons, when they're in the kitchen and they're cooking away and the scent wafts out into the street, it calls in and it attracts the other cartoon characters.
mm,
And so for me, it wasn't necessarily in the kitchen cooking away, um, but actually calling in through my voice. So I've
mm,
been playful with music and singing, like singing away all the time. Um, and also I've pulled out my guitar and been practicing as well. So been calling in and attracting that way.
creativity once again.
Or
And
expression. Yes, the
yeah,
joy in expression.
and funny that you say that because this week's practice in mindfulness classes has been about, well, last week, I don't know if I mentioned, but we talked about how positive and negative energies, thoughts are basically all energy. Thoughts are energy. And so from that, we can create positive energy or negative energy. And as we focus on one of those two things, and as we build them up, we will create this vibration around us that resonates to that energy, with hopefully steering the kids towards having more positive thoughts, positive
Hmm.
outlooks, positive communication with other people. And
Hmm.
so I drew all of this on the whiteboard for them to really see how that looks.
Yeah.
And so that they build up this vibration of not allowing so much negativity to come in, so that they are
Right.
aware of it and they can kind of repel it or send out love,
Hmm.
work towards the idea of haters receive love back from you kind of thing.
Hmm.
And this week was all about just checking in with the kind of music that they're listening to. So we talked a lot about music this week and how that can resonate with us. And heartbreak songs over and over again
Yes.
will create that sense of sadness and melancholy.
Yes.
And sometimes you actually need to go there with that. And that's exactly,
Sometimes you can overdo it too.
yeah. And
Yes.
so tuning in to actually what are the lyrics and what is the vibration of each
Hmm.
song and
Yeah.
how is that aligning to what it is you want to feel and
Yeah.
what you want to create. So let's look at like choosing playlists that are raising your vibration, like your positive spin
Hmm.
on life. So yeah, and that led us into doing some metta meditations in the class as well, and love and kindness, because I've also felt kind of disappointment this week, a sense of not really achieving, not really acting
Hmm.
in the way I want to move forward. Because I feel like this generator of that I am is that on that stepping stone upwards, but pause it. So we take action and then there's a lull, a pause. And then we have to wait until that next action fires us up again to move to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, being in that in between space that February is becoming for me
Mm-hmm.
has felt sometimes like disappointment,
Yeah.
not being able to label the reasons why, because there's nothing not happening or not coming through, but that
Mm.
sense of just being okay with where I am instead of like, and that can sometimes feel like disappointment. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. So it's funny that you bring that up about the meta, because I thought about the meta meditation, the loving kindness meditation this week as well. Because I received an email with a blog post, and the title was Just Love Someone. And my first thought was like, yeah, okay, if you have a partner, fine, just love someone. But then I started reading, and it was more about, you can love friends, you can love pets, you can love family members, you can love a random person on the street. And then it got into the freedom to love without conditions, that unconditional love, where you give love without that love needed to be received, without needing that love to be received, and without needing to receive love in return. And for me, that was like a huge eye opener, because I do think a lot of the times I am giving, hoping that my love will be received, or expecting something in return.
mm,
And that is conditional. And the unconditional love made me think of that loving kindness meditation, which I used to think, okay, yeah, this is a great meditation, but like get out there and do something, serve people. But it's not necessarily that. It can just be that love. The whole point of loving someone without expecting anything in return is how it makes you feel inside.
mm.
And so, like, I've been going out with that intention to just be loving with for no reason at all, just
Yeah.
because it feels good. Yeah.
And so within the meta meditation that I had done with the children,
Hmm.
it for the first time, it was like we were touching on love, which came in the last episode, like not episode, in the last class of of that gift of learning to send love back to people that don't necessarily deserve it in your eyes
Hmm.
is a very hard thing for us to
Hmm.
do, because we
Hmm.
want to justify ourselves, we want to stand up for ourselves, we want to defend
Yes.
ourselves. But ultimately, that feeling of just being able to send it, send out love, isn't for anything other than it making you feel better.
Yes.
Oh, and
Yes.
it can serve the other person too. And
If they want to receive it, of course.
what I think it does in the end is it really builds up your trust that you have so much love. Like, love does not run out. Just
Hmm.
because I share my love with you doesn't mean there's not enough for the next person that comes
No.
along. Or I am, it's one of the things that you give more of, it creates more. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't run out.
I feel like it's part of that openness. And if you can stay open, it's a continuous stream. It's like the
Yeah.
faucet is open. And you can close it if you fear rejection because you're wanting it to be received. Or you can close it when you're like grasping on for like getting some love in return. But it
Yeah.
stays open if you're just giving to give.
And curiously, this week I met with a friend to talk about the human design. And I was curious because when we talked about him being a 2-4, I think you're also a 2-4.
I am.
And
Yeah.
I was sharing with him about ultimately the twos need some time alone. They like their intimate space. They like time to think. They like to be in their own energy a
Hmm.
lot of the time, while at the same time, they are very much people, not people, peace. Their network is so important to them. So
Yeah.
they are very much about their people,
Okay.
their tribe.
Hmm.
They're the ones that they love and care for are so important to them. And it makes their life worth living based on the
I can see that.
relationships
Yeah.
that have.
Mm.
And he's just said, so isn't everybody like that? Of course. And you could kind of think so, but I'm a 3-5. And
Yeah.
so threes are out there to experiment. It's
Mm-hmm.
more about their own journey. And then the 5 aspect is me sharing those experiences with others. But more than that, it's me loving, or 5s loving new people, loving everybody equally. And so I can make best friends with somebody off the street within half an hour of meeting them. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel the love equal to everyone else in my life.
Okay.
Which for some people, or to say, like, I don't have that ranking of priority of who I love more. I just love
You don't start
everyone
here and move out.
equal. No. And I
Okay.
think I genuinely feel like that.
Mm.
So when I connect and doing the metta this last week,
Mm-hmm.
every time I walked Pip, took my dog out, I was just like seeing people on the street and sending out love to them and feeling that sense of, yeah, I've got enough of this. Take it, have some love,
So
like
beautiful.
sharing it out. So,
Yes. I
so
love that.
loosely, like
Yeah.
there's
Very
no,
good.
yeah. So that's been, and because it's been Love Week,
Mm.
trying also to give back some self love because I've had that sense of disappointment of, I don't even want to say disappointment, might not be the word,
Mm-hmm.
melancholy maybe, of that feeling of maybe loss. I'm not sure how to describe it, but that needing to give back to myself
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, doing the metta meditation inwardly. I think it's just called a love and compassion
Mm-hmm.
meditation towards oneself. So I've been trying to practice that a lot and leaning into the void of nothing happening, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
I did come across, I think, Peter Crone,
Okay.
this guy. He had a beautiful interview on Know Thyself, a new podcast I've just discovered.
Okay.
And he talked about how if we're reaching for something to be different,
Mm.
then we are in a state of lack in that reaching. So when we are wanting to be somewhere else, ultimately where we are, we don't believe is serving us, or we are worthy, or we should be worthy of more, or this should be different.
Mm.
That we're wanting
Yeah.
to picture to look different
Yeah.
to how it looks.
Okay.
And so learning to be okay with how this scenario, the situation is, and
Mm-hmm.
actually more than learning to be okay with it is knowing that this is exactly where I am meant to be, and that is
Mm-hmm.
why I'm in this space and place, time,
Yeah.
as I am right now. And so it is enough.
Mm.
So if it's enough as I am, I need to call nothing in. It's
Yeah.
like the wishing for the thing is keeping the thing away from us because we are at a different level to
Yeah.
that thing.
I've been going there too, but maybe for different reasons. I love your reasons. Um, I've been going there from the place of non-grasping or non-attachment because, like in human design, your likes and your dislikes kind of show you your path. It's your GPS. But when you grasp and try too hard to cling to the things that you like and want and your desires and your wishes, you repel them, you push them away because it's coming from lack.
Mm.
And when you resist those things you don't like because they're coming in and you know you don't want them and you're trying to push them away, they just get louder. And so it's just learning to be open and sitting with the things that I don't like as well, because they're here for a reason, to stretch, to expand, to whatever. So
Mm.
just really practicing that non-attachment and staying open to build my vessel, to welcome those miracles or whatever.
And so it be that this same week with the kids
Mm.
in class, I've been working on the idea of neutrality. And
Hmm.
so there's nothing good or bad. It's just neutral. It is what it is. So not
Yeah.
labeling a
Yeah.
situation or an outcome as better or worse, or I don't like, or I like.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I walk into class, if it's a class that they're missing that they don't like,
Hmm.
then it's celebration, mindfulness, yay. And
Mm.
then if I walk into a class and it's their favorite class, it's like, oh God, we got mindfulness and disappointment.
Yeah.
And so just becoming aware of this needing to label things in at all
Hmm.
is, I think, one of the stepping stones towards non-attachment.
Yes.
Can I make this something that is neutral, not good, no bad?
Hmm.
And in that, you open up the
Do the
opportunity
magic. Yeah.
but also to discover with that maybe the bad isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe the bad is actually coming at me because there's something there that's going to nourish me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And um yeah, so just really leaning into that idea with the kids of let's practice non-responsive. Like, can we even just
Because that's all coming
be
from a
okay?
place of like a story of what they think it's going to be. And it's a mind game, and we don't know what it's going to be. They didn't know what they're missing out on,
No,
really. And they don't know what's going to happen, really. So,
exactly.
hmm.
And I think that's fundamental for a joyful life, is that you take away expectations,
Hmm.
that you learn to be okay in the not knowing. And
Yeah.
actually, I don't need to judge this situation.
Hmm.
There will be times that require your judgment, but in this one, it's out of your control. So let's just run with it, let it be
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
And I think it then becomes easier to smile and to respond with a more open-hearted
The less
attitude.
baggage you have that you're carrying around, the more open you are to whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we've kind of moved in tune again this week. It's funny,
Yeah.
isn't it, what comes
Yeah.
up? And just, yeah, leaning into trusting myself and knowing my intuition, knowing my needs, and knowing what is like my path. And sometimes it looks kind of just steady, which I'm grateful for.
Whatever's in alignment, right?
Yeah. What is meant for you won't pass you by, as they say. So,
I have been leaning into that quote a lot. And like the idea that no matter what you do, if it's meant for you, like you can't mess it up. So like
no.
giving myself permission to just act go with what feels good.
Mm.
And if it's not meant for you, no matter what you do, won't affect it because it's not meant for you anyways. Like it's not gonna
Exactly.
come. So
There you go.
yeah.
So, less attachment.
Mm.
Maybe not non-attachment, but less attachment. At least progress.
Yes, yes.
Oh, well, thank you for another wonderful conversation.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
too. Have
And
a
we'll
great
see
week. And
what unfolds.
do you have
Oh,
intentions for this week?
have a week.
Have a week. Yeah, I guess that's kind of my intention too. Like just try to be as present and open as possible and expect the unexpected. Allow for miracles.
Yeah. And to seek the joy in every moment.
Hmm.
If you're awake to it, you're actually gonna find it. So
Perfect.
breathe
I love
into
that.
whatever comes up.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll
Thank
speak to you
you.
soon.
Speak to you
Okay.
soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.